Well, hello and welcome to the Internet Business Blueprint Podcast. This is James Holmes, your host, and we're here every weekday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, broadcasting live on the podcast channel jamesholmesradio.com and simulcast on my Ustream video channel, and that can be found at jamesholmes.tv. The Internet Business Blueprint Podcast, and I should say now VCast, is focused on the core idea of developing a dynamic business funnel that can create for you recurring streams of revenue. We are based on internet marketing through many channels, direct sales, network marketing in the traditional sense, affiliate marketing, information product creation and marketing. And we bring to this program every weekday discussions of topics that relate to that. You know, quite often our teaching and the training we do here ends up focusing on mindset because it really is the foundation of everything. And I had been personally studying the work of Bob Proctor and Mary Morressey as they explored Raymond Holliwell's work entitled Working with the Law. And they created a multi-disc training program called the 11 Forgotten Laws. I've been going through that and decided about a week and a half ago that it would just be perfect to bring what I'm learning and share what I'm learning through studying that material, bring that to you as a series of lessons here on our program. So that's what we've been doing the last week and a half. We'll conclude this series of lessons, I think, on Thursday. We are now on the 9th lesson, and so we've got one for tomorrow, one for Thursday, and that should wrap up this particular series. But I think it's been, at least for me, the personal study of the material has been incredibly rewarding. It's really created some aha moments for me. It's opened my eyes up to understanding exactly how certain concepts work. And it's just reaffirmed things that I already believed. And so in sharing this with you, I hope it's been very much the same type of experience for you. And what we're going to do is a quick recap, and then I want to backtrack just one step and talk a little bit about yesterday's lesson. I keep these programs to kind of a fast-paced 30 minutes, and I spent some time yesterday sharing with you a 12-year-old vision board. A vision board I created back in 1997, and so ended up using up a considerable amount of our time yesterday, and I felt like I kind of speeded through the conclusion of yesterday's program. And with some of the feedback that I'd gotten and just the request that maybe I could go back and maybe go a little bit deeper in explanation on a couple of points that I left for you at the end that related to the law of forgiveness. So I'm going to do that. But before I do, let me just remind you that if you're looking for additional information, if there's a resource that I give reference to on this program, if there is a question that you have that's outstanding that you think I can be helpful to you with, if there are gaps in your business model that you think I can help you to bridge, if you just simply go to my blog, which is at www.askjamesholmes.com, that's askjamesholmes.com, you'll be able to book a 30-minute complimentary consultation with me. You'll see a box at the top of the screen that'll just simply say something to the effect of schedule your complimentary consultation with James. And you'll see a button that says click now. And if you click on that button, you'll be able to see my online calendar. And any time that you see that is available that fits your schedule, just fill in your name, email address, and phone number, and that'll be a confirmed appointment, and I'll give you a call at whatever the appointed time is, and we'll spend 30 minutes together talking about you and your business and seeing if there's some things I can maybe share with you that'll help you to be more effective and to accomplish your goals. And so let's talk a little bit about the recap from what we talked about so far in this series, then also pointing back to yesterday, and I'm going to kind of do, like I said, a little bit of a revisit on the core information that we covered in the law of forgiveness. But we started this process talking about the law of thinking. And the basic idea behind the law of thinking is that thoughts become things, that what you think about is what you bring about. And the thing that you focus on and hold clearly in your mind, you're going to give energy to, and you're going to cause that to expand. And so you're going to grow whatever it is you focus on. The second law is the law of supply. And the basic principle behind the law of supply is a recognition that there is an abundant supply of everything you need to accomplish whatever it is you're seeking to accomplish. It's already existing, and it's all around us. The example I gave last week was that of Thomas Edison and the development of the light bulb. And if you think about it, what led to the invention of the light bulb was the idea, the thought. So it gets back to the first thing, which is the law of thinking. In terms of the supplies that were needed, the things, the physical materials that were needed, or the principles in science that were needed in order to bring about that invention, they already existed. What was left for Einstein to do was to take his idea, his thought, and attract to himself the resources, the materials, the concepts, in some cases maybe even the people in terms of maybe specialists in areas and that type of thing, to bring about and manifest what he had been working on, and the gift that he gave to all of us in having the ability to have an incandescent light bulb. And so the idea, the principle behind the law of supply is that everything you need already exists. The clients that you need, the prospects are already there. The resources you need, they already exist. The money you need for your projects, the money is out there. It's not a matter of creating new money. The money's already there. It's really just an idea of attracting that to yourself and putting that into work and into practice for you. The third law is the law of attraction itself. And the basic idea in the law of attraction is, number one, identifying what it is you want. Number two, putting yourself to a place of being able to ask for what you want through contemplation, in prayer, and in meditation. And so the idea is to ask first, to know what you want first, then to ask for what you want. And then the most important thing, and where many of us may fall short, is in expecting to receive it. That there's no question that once you are clear about what you want, you ask for what you want, and you're in a place from a standpoint of vibrational and attraction, that you will get what you want. And you've got to believe that. You've got to hold that idea of the expectation so clear that it's unquestionable, and to bring about what you're looking to accomplish. And then number four, the law of receiving, which we talked about last week, really begins with giving. And as you give, you're setting yourself up to be in a position to receive in a very powerful way. It always comes back to you in multiples of what you give out. Law number five was the law of increase, and we talked about the idea that the law of increase is activated by praise. So as you go about your day and you're praising circumstances, people, opportunities, responsibilities, everything that's in your world as you go through your day, if you're walking out and stepping out in a mindset that has you looking at the glass being half full, looking to praise those around you that are contributing to the greater good and to your good, and entering into the world with that type of a posture and mindset, that what you're going to do is sow increase into other people. When you praise somebody, you sow increase into them. When you praise a circumstance, you sow increase into that circumstance. When you praise a talent or an asset that's in your business, you are sowing increase into that talent or asset. And so you want to always go about with a posture of praising in order to sow increase. And I shared with you my personal mission statement, which I actually had kind of developed long before. This is new learning in part for me. And this is something that I've used actually for years, and that is simply stated: my mission is to sow increase into the lives of others by co-creating wealth and abundance. And so that idea of sowing increase, and seeing that points back to one of the 11 forgotten laws, for me, it made this a very meaningful part of the study. Number 6 is the law of compensation. And the principle behind the law of compensation is really understanding how entrepreneurs are compensated. And I talked about in the past that entrepreneurs are not compensated by time. It's not an exchange of time for money, as it would be in a traditional employee-employer type of arrangement. Entrepreneurs are compensated in two ways. One, for the problems you solve, and secondly, for the value you provide to others. So when you're out there solving problems and providing value, the person receiving the solution or being contributed to in terms of adding value will perceive your value and then be willing to compensate you accordingly. And so the basic idea behind the law of compensation is to really embrace those two concepts in my mind, which is how entrepreneurs are compensated by solving problems, number one, and by adding value. Now, how do you activate that? Well, one way is certainly by recognition, recognizing the problem to solve, and then being prepared to be the right person to solve the problem, and then certainly moving into action and actually bringing that about to create the solution, thereby solving the problems and adding value to others. The seventh law is the law of non-resistance. And this is a beautiful law, and the way I like to think of it is another principle that I've kind of lived by for years, which is the concept of, I call it mind like water. And I think what you can think of it as is just moving towards your goal or objective as water running down a tributary stream, let's say, into a raging river, flows into the ocean. And with the persistence of that water, the water doesn't care if there's a boulder in the middle of the stream, if there is a tree that's fallen across its path. It simply looks for the path of least resistance and continues to flow towards its ultimate goal. And that's exactly the model that you want to adopt as you go about your daily life in this mind like water or flowing like water type of posture. You want to make sure that the smallest little obstacle that comes up, and there are obstacles big and small that come up every day in our businesses, that none of them, although they may in some cases be important, none of them is significant enough to take us off course, because we're going to continue to look for the path of least resistance and continue to flow as the water flows towards our ultimate destination. The eighth law is the law of forgiveness. And this is where I want to take a step back. And we talked about the law of forgiveness yesterday. And I want to kind of recap, part of what I said in closing yesterday. I think, in terms of just, again, taking up a lot of time yesterday, which I'm glad we did. I hope that vision board exercise was meaningful for you. And if you missed it, just go back to the show page, either at jamesholmes.tv or jamesholmesradio.com, and just watch the replay from yesterday's program. And I walked through a vision board and shared with you some ideas on how I was able to bring about like a 98% pull through on the things that I had put in Envision in January by the end of that year. And but in taking the time to do that, I definitely took up a lot of time that was really meant to study the law of forgiveness. So I want to go over and just do a quick little recap so that you understand the importance of this law, and that the action items that I gave you, which were 3 at the end, aren't lost. Okay? And so we talked about the idea of the law of forgiveness, and when you fail to forgive, that you really are hurting yourself. And the beautiful image that Bob Proctor and Mary Morressey paint in their training, The 11 Forgotten Laws, is the person that's standing there holding a handful of hot coals with the intention at throwing them towards the target of their unforgiveness. And the reality is that the person holding those coals, touched tightly in their hands, are going to suffer the pain of those hot coals more than anybody else. And in reality, when you're harboring these feelings of unforgiveness, the idea that the person or the circumstance that you are holding that unforgiveness towards is probably not affected by those feelings that you're holding so closely. And so while you're there miserable and frustrated and angry in some cases, the subject of that anger has no idea that you're even affected. And they're going about their happy day. And so you're the only one that's really suffering. So the advice there is just to let go of it and to look to basically model the idea that's existent in every major religion, which is the idea of forgiveness. It's in the text of every major religion that I've ever seen or studied. And so let's go about and commit to the idea of just forgiving and letting go. Now, the thing I want to really focus on is that sometimes we have to forgive ourselves. And if you're harboring feelings of unforgiveness towards yourself, and as it relates to business, it may be because of a decision you made, or an opportunity that you didn't take advantage of, or something you felt like you did that hurt your business that is a burden to you. What I want to do today is just say to you that you have the power, and I hope to empower you to just let that go. Whatever those feelings are, you've owned them long enough they're holding you back and they're not going to allow you to move forward. And they're certainly not going to contribute to you being able to move forward in any kind of significant way in order to maybe overcome those things in such a way that you become a blessing to other people based on the lessons learned from those past bad experiences or from those feelings of anger towards another person or in this case towards yourself. So what I want to say to you today is to let those go. Let those feelings go, forgive yourself, and really move on to create a more perfect life and a more perfect business today and tomorrow. Take whatever lessons that are available from those past experiences and then just let them go. It's not worth holding on to. So the application lessons to the business that I wanted to share with you again from yesterday was that if it is necessary for you, if you feel like you just cannot move on without somehow acknowledging these past feelings of unforgiveness, then I want you to make a list. And I want you to document what those feelings are and who those feelings are appointed to, and maybe even the cause of those feelings. And I want you to do one of two things. One is, and the thing I'd recommend you do, is to take that list and simply burn it. There is a real, and I don't know how to explain it. It's symbolic to be sure, but it's even deeper than that. There's a real cleansing that occurs when you take something that is not serving you, like the feelings of unforgiveness, and you document those reasons why on a piece of paper, and you burn that piece of paper. It somehow closes the door on those feelings, and I think allows you in a very powerful way to move forward. So that's one thing I would recommend you do. The second thing is, as you evaluate your list, if you feel like there are people, and you got to be careful with this one, but if there are people on that list or situations that you feel like are left unresolved, that you just feel like, stubbornly that have to be addressed, because you're always running the risk of extreme danger when you open up a can of worms. And so in all seriousness, I want you to really be thoughtful that you're not running around in an effort to try to cleanse yourself, that you're opening up a lot of old wounds and maybe even stirring up bitter rivalries that are best left unbothered and undisturbed. But if you feel like there are certain things on there that you just cannot move on without addressing, then I want you to go and do that, and do it immediately. And do it from a perception of extreme humility, that you are coming to the table to forgive another person, and there's no need to really discuss the issue. There's no need to create any kind of understanding of the circumstances. You're simply going to ask for forgiveness, and you're not assigning blame. You're simply just looking to cleanse the situation to allow you to move forward. And so if you must do that, then that's the tone and the posture that I just would recommend that you adopt as you go forward and do that. I want you to become the embodiment of forgiveness itself in your life. So how do you become the embodiment of forgiveness? Well, I think when you set about your day-to-day life, and I'll give you the simplest example, and I think I shared this the other day. If you pull into a parking lot and you see someone getting ready to pull away from a space, it's the next closest available space, and so you stop and put on your turn signal. Let's say you're sitting there for a few seconds, and suddenly another car turns into your aisle and approaches you from the other direction, and it's obvious that you were already there, already established, your blinkers on, you're simply waiting for the other person to back out. And so what if that other person backs out and pulls away, and the individual that arrived on the scene after you already had claimed the spot in terms of your actions, whipped into that spot and literally beat you to your spot? Now, having the posture of forgiveness would not call for you to in any way engage in any kind of conflict with that individual. People that do that are unconscious, and you're not going to change them. And so the best thing to do is just to find that place of inner peace within yourself and brush it off. Just walk away from the circumstances. So that's a very practical way in which you can become the embodiment of forgiveness. If you have someone as a coworker, a colleague, a client that slights you in some way. Now, I'm not saying you should be out there and be a doormat to the world. What I am saying is that you should pick your battles, and certainly if there's something that you could just envision yourself kind of letting go and being peaceful about it, and that it's not going to damage your reputation, not going to cause you to lose anything in terms of your business, and it has no real impact on you, just one of these random occurrences, then just let that go, because that's the kind of thing that can really trip you up and cause you heartache, and really cause this whole problem of unforgiveness to fester up inside of you. And so those are the three actions in recap from yesterday's lesson on the law of forgiveness. What we're talking about today is the law of sacrifice. And that may not be, in terms of the definition, exactly what you might be expecting when you hear the idea of sacrifice. There's certainly the biblical model of what sacrifice looked like and the purpose behind sacrifice. What I want to talk about is this theory that sacrifice really speaks to discipline and habits. That, there's always a price to pay. For your success, there's going to be a price to pay. Sometimes it's monetary, sometimes it's your time, other times it's other resources, it's your mental energy. It sometimes, unfortunately, may even be relationships. But everything has a price. And so the question that really is asked when we explore the law of sacrifice is, what is it that you're willing to give up? And what are the habits and disciplines required to really bring you in a powerful way towards the accomplishment of the goal that you've set for yourself? So how would you rate your present results would be my first question for you. And the reason I ask that question is, as I've said before, that the best indication, the best evidence of where you're at in terms of your mindset, your thinking, your attraction, your ability to attract right now. If we went through the list of all the laws that we've covered thus far, they all lead back to the basic concept of where your results are now and what those results tell you about what you've done to this point and what they can predict for you in the future unless you make change. And so what you want to do is really think about what it is that exist in your results that you're not satisfied with, which of your results are not consistent with what your objectives are and what your goals are, and then see if you can identify behaviors or actions that need change. Some of them have the negative connotation, things that things you're doing now that are not working or that are harming you that you need to stop doing. Okay, that's the negative connotation. The positive is things that you're doing that are working that you need to do continually and consistently. And we want to deal with both sides of that equation. So in order to dramatically improve the results you're getting in your life, there are going to be certain things that you're going to have to change. And you want to really be mindful of that and exploring what those changes will need to be. So my first question for you, that's really for yourself, to ask is whether or not you're willing to make the change. In other words, do you want it bad enough to be willing to change for what you're asking for what you're seeking to attract to yourself, for what you're looking to manifest and create for yourself? A key principle to understand in all of this is that what you have in life is largely dependent upon what you're willing to sacrifice. Okay, so what is it you're willing to exchange for? And let's bring this down to real practical terms and talk a little bit about the business. And the business models that we look at in each of these episodes, the one that seems to be so often the easiest to illustrate is that of traditional network marketing because of the principles that are required to create success there. So if we talk about what it is you're looking to create and what you're willing to sacrifice, okay, what disciplines are you willing to then put into play, many things come to mind. And let's talk about the idea of daily disciplines in your network marketing business. And this can apply really in many ways to the other business models as well. But one idea that I talk about when we're training specifically about network marketing is the need that you have to expose your opportunity to 3 to 5 quality prospects per day. So 3 to 5 quality presentations per day to prospects in your network marketing business. Now that would be, the action behind that would be a discipline. And I would argue that if you're not seeing the results, if you're a network marketer, if you're not seeing results in your prospecting and in your enrollments and in the growth of the volume of your team and in your duplication, that I could tie that right back to that first principle of what your daily disciplines are of exposing your business 3 to 5 times a day in a quality way to new prospects. The second discipline relates directly to the follow-up. And in the discipline of follow-up, basically says is that you want to follow up after a quality presentation to a prospect within 24 hours. Anything later than 48 hours, and you've really got to go back and do a lot of work to get the person back to where they were and where they would have been if you'd have contacted them 24 hours or within 24 hours of them viewing the information. So in between that time, from that 24-hour period and beyond 48 hours, a lot happens, a lot of life happens. And so a person may forget what they saw that they liked. They may, have identified a need they have themselves that they could use your program to fill, that they no longer, they don't remember exactly how they're piecing that together. So you're setting yourself up to leave these gaps of time if you're not being very disciplined in your follow-up process. That's another example. Another example might be related to the auto ship, that one of the things that you are going to sacrifice is a certain amount of money in a given month in order to obtain your auto ship. Now, why is auto ship important in network marketing? Well, what's important about network marketing is that you have to have reoccurring sales volume. And the way, in one way you do that beyond your customer base, those that are not in your business but are just pure customers, is by having your team members and yourself be really consistent with regard to auto ship. It really is what pays the residual checks. And so there are certain things that are daily disciplines that you want to execute upon in your business to yield for you consistent results. One of the great quotes I love, and this quote came from a gentleman named Randy Schrader, who I had the opportunity for the better part of, a year and a half to study with as a member. He was a leader in a company that actually brought me into network marketing. And he used to say that daily disciplines, when acted upon daily, developed character. Daily disciplines, when acted upon daily, develop character. And that's very much what we're talking about in the law of sacrifice. So if you have the opportunity to get belly to belly with a prospect and show your business idea, and you've got something that is not as important, but maybe from an entertainment value or some other reason, something you'd like to go and attend, I don't know what it is for you. And for me, it would be a Formula One race on a Sunday morning, or a NASCAR nighttime race on a Saturday from some short track in the South. And those things would be pretty compelling for me personally. But what I'm willing to sacrifice is watching those events, as an example, in order to go to a prospect that has shown the sincere desire to join my business. And so I'm willing to make that sacrifice. So just remember that everything you want in life has a price. Sometimes the price is large, sometimes the price is comparatively small, and what it is for you to figure out is what is it you're willing to sacrifice in order to get what you want. And it's a real indicator of your current results, what you've been willing to sacrifice up to this point. And so again, a very critical concept for you to grasp and understand. So we're going to continue tomorrow with the next to the last in this series of lessons. If you are interested in actually acquiring the course, the actual course, the 11 Forgotten Laws by Bob Proctor and Mary Morressey, my recommendation to you is to go to my blog at www.askjamesholmes.com, and I've got a series of show summaries. In fact, each of these lessons and the accompanying video has been posted to my blog. And at the bottom of those entries for those show summaries on working with the law, I've got a link, a special link, that'll take you to a web page of Bob Proctor's and Mary Morrissey's, where you're going to be able to get the entire audio course for digital download. So you can get it immediately, download it into your audio player and your computer or your iPod, along with a number of special bonuses, all for 66% off the suggested price or the normal price. So if that's of appeal to you, then I want to basically suggest that you at least go and read the sales page to understand what's in the program, and then you can decide for yourself if you want to take advantage of the 65+% discount on the course itself. So I thank you for being with me. I want to invite you to come back tomorrow. We'll be here at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, our normal time, Monday through Friday here on the Internet Business Blueprint. And with that being said, I want you to take the laws and put them into effect in your life and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a blessed day.